Merry Christmas, everyone. So normally when I'm down here, I'm cooking for, 25 or so of us, which means 4 or 5 or 6 times a recipe. So when I finally get back and we can cook just one recipe, it's really kind of bizarre because everything goes so much faster. And it's just so much easier, much less math. Anyways, the other thing I don't always get to do is bake bread or buns or anything like that. And I kind of miss that. Now the bread in France, seriously, what is the point? But every once in a while, the kind of buns that you have, like at Thanksgiving or Christmas, are the kind of ones that I sort of miss. So I'm actually going to try a new recipe today because I don't want to do something just for kicks and giggles. This is actually a super fast bun recipe from King Arthur flour. And I want to try it and see how fast does it go, because when we're down here with students and I'm cooking, nothing can take a long time because we have to crank stuff out quick. This does make 2 dozen, that's good news, because quantity in one recipe makes a big difference for me when I'm here. And so I would have to make 2 batches. So let's see how long this takes and see if they're any good, because when you do a yeasted dough this fast, sometimes they don't taste quite as good in general. So let's give it a go. Okay, we're gonna make fluffy, normal little dinner rolls. They say it goes really fast, and we're gonna give it a go and see, because my mom made amazing buns, but they were an overnight kind of thing, which was great, but we need something faster sometimes. So it says you have to just take the warm milk, the warm water, a little bit of butter, sugar, salt, and yeast, and let it simmer in there for a few minutes so that the yeast can activate. Okay, 2 tablespoons, 2.5 tablespoons of fast acting yeast. That's a lot. That's what's gonna make this thing go fast. And a half. There's a thing in French called mise en place, which means get everything ready ahead of time before you start, so you know you have everything. Which, sometimes they do, and I'm pretty good at it, and then other times, I don't know. But anyways, here we go. Lukewarm water, and a little bit of salt, which they say, if you learned anything from Bake Off, British Bake Off, you shouldn't put your salt by your yeast because it inhibits growth. So I'm gonna wait on that. I'm gonna put the butter that I already measured. See, I was on the ball for that one. And what does it say? Water, milk, we have to put the milk, sugar. Let's put some sugar in, and we need 2 tablespoons of sugar. 1, 2. Okay. And salt and yeast. And the milk. Let's see, we need 2 cups of milk, which I already have warming on the stove. Make sure it's not too hot. It is not. So, there's 1 cup of milk. And it is very cold down here, so don't be put off by the steam. It's not very hot milk. So that's that. And we're gonna give it a little zhuzh here so that everything can start working. And then it says we start adding the flour until it's a shaggy mess. I'll let you know what that looks like in a minute. Okay, so I'm gonna pre-measure out 5 cups of flour. They say it's gonna be 6 or 7. So in good Ina Garten form, because she's amazing. You fluff up your flour, that's 1. I have to count her one. Fluff up your flour, you put it in. I take a flat knife, butter knife, and you flatten it off, that's 2. This is gonna be 3. Now while this was bubbling, I took the time to clean everything else up from getting this last shot, that's 4. And so now we're ready for the next chunk. I hate cleaning up when it's a big mess at the end. So this way, I'm halfway cleaned up already. And that's fine. All right, good news. Now we're gonna go put it on the stand mixer because yay for KitchenAid. Aren't they fantastic. Couldn't live without it. Had one for years and years. Let's go make this a shaggy mess. Okay, never fear, I didn't forget the salt. I waited to put it in here, and I'm just gonna sift that around a little bit and put it in here separately, just because I didn't want to mess with the bubbles. Okay, shaggy mess in process. Looks pretty good, honestly. I think I'm gonna stop it there. And time to get the rest of the dough in here. All right, so we're putting in half a cup at a time until it starts to come together a little bit better, which I think will be soon. It's very nice and warm. And I'll let you know how it goes here as soon as we finish up. Okay, the dough is all tucked in, and I already had heated up the microwave. It's where I sort of usually put something if it's gonna prove.
Okay, it's nighttime and our power just went out to the whole house, but I'm working on solar panels and how we're gonna land these things. Now it looks like if we buy brackets, oh, there's the lights back on. It looks like the wind blew something through. It's very windy tonight. You know, you could put, I mean, the complicated way to do it would be to put a concrete base in all the way across. And then you can see these brackets. And I mean, I've seen some for 50 per panel. So you're looking at least at 350 if we go that way. Now, Leslie and I were talking a little bit. This would be kind of fun. You can buy an array and it sort of tracks and it follows, you know, the sun. And looks like the cheapest one's around 400. And I don't think we're interested in that, but you know, maybe someday we could do something like that. It's not actually that much money. Apparently you get 40% more, you know, power because it's always pointing at the sun. So, you know, maybe, but for now, I think we're going to go simple. In fact, honestly, I think I'm going to get some wood and just do it. I think we can do it for almost free. Time to get to some installation. Now, here's the microinverter. There it is. Looks like we've got the big one, the 100. I'm looking at the back of these panels and I'm noticing they do have some nice pre-drilled holes, so that's going to be easy for running a board across to keep them straight. I also did some measurements, just under 2 meters tall, 196 centimeters, and I believe it was 113 centimeters wide, 113 and a half. That works quite well. That's about 6.8 meters right now. It almost exactly lines up with these very ugly fences that we may pull down yet. So basically we can have the array. Do you call it an array? I think so. Right here. And again, we're gonna angle them down this way facing south. Well, it looks like, but it looks like the hill's already angling us down a little bit, so that's nice too. But we're gonna have to level it because this end is definitely lower than this end. So we're gonna get 4. I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna use some of the wood we already have. We're gonna use some of those old fence poles and we're gonna level them off. We're gonna put 4 across, 1, 2, 3, 4. So every 2 panels, and then we're gonna run a board all the way across, attach the panels to the board, and that, we're gonna make it so that that's a connection that can be disconnected and then raised and lowered. And the bottom one will just sit basically and rotate. So it'll just sit with gravity on the ground. We'll also chain it down so that it won't blow off in the wind. But I think this should work. It'll be some work to do, but we can do it. So I've been looking at solar panel angle tilt calculators all night, and there's lots of different opinions actually. Most of them are kind of similar. Our latitude is 47.3 degrees here. And so a lot of them will say plus or minus 15 for the seasons. So, you know, going up to around 60 and down to 30-ish is what you want. Now, this is kind of fun. When they ship this package, this is actually, I measured it, this is actually a 60-degree angle right here. And then, of course, if you turn it on its side, it's always equals 90, so it would be a 30. So that's super helpful. But again, there's lots of different web pages, and some of them are a lot more accurate. Some of them say drop it down to 20%. A lot of them say that the year-round best angle is 34%. We'll look at all the sites, and we honestly may take an average. But I think what I might do is just on a sunny day, start tilting the thing, and you can kind of tell by the shadow, right? Practice beats theory every day of the week. once we get an electrical tester, we can see, you know, where actually it pulls the most power. And of course, remember that every day that will change because the season changes and the sun angle changes. But what you could do is just put the panel out and then start tipping it, and you start here and you can see how big the shadow is, right? The shadow will come down here. And as you go like this, when you get to flat, the shadow should be the biggest. You know, the shadow will start a little bit smaller and then it'll grow until you get flat. And then as you keep going down, it will start shrinking again. So you can kind of tell when it's at the right angle by when the shadow is the biggest. I believe, if my physics is correct, which I think they are. Of course, that changes every day of the year, but that would give us a good starting point too. The, of course, shortest day of the year, December, is coming, so you know we can use that as a guide. This little garden tractor has become super helpful. Just with this little, whatever it was, $50 or $100 trailer we bought at the Brocon, it's great for hauling stuff around. We're gonna go take a look at some wood and see if there's some poles that could hold solar panels. So let's take this guy over there and we can drive some back. You know, one thing that's really nice is as we've been here a little while, you start to build up an infrastructure. For example, you're like, oh, we got a couple tires that are flat. Early on, we'd have to, like, you know, take that tire off and take it to a gas station or something. But now we got an air compressor. You know, we got easily the means just to fix that up. Takes a couple seconds and we're good to go. Really appreciate that. Okay, we got some poles that I think will work just fine. They're old fence poles, some shorter ones, and it is nice. Of course, waste not, want not. I keep a bunch of things, old pallets, you know, old fencing, stuff that we've either just had sitting around, some old metal bars over there, just in case we want to do projects. No point in buying stuff when you have it already here for free. Better for the environment too.
So we have the oven on already because we're making buns. So I figured let's try and make some cookies. You know, in North America, we make chocolate chip cookies all the time. It seems to be the go-to. And I think they're fine. However, over here, they don't do cookies in general a lot. So every once in a while, you kind of get a hankering. And they don't even call them really cookies here. Sometimes they call them biscuits. You know, stuff like that. I was gonna say biscuit. And so I have tried a number of our recipes here, and they don't always turn out great. You know, the whole French butter versus American butter. We have more water in the North America butter, and European butter has more fat. So the ratios are always weird, right? So I found someone online that actually made them in France. So we're gonna give them a go and see how it goes. And if they're great, I'll tell you who it is. Now, one of the best things that I think we can learn in North America is putting flaky salt in our butter. Why don't we do this? It's like the best thing ever. Not to mention, the other thing that we don't really do at home is weigh stuff. Now, I'm half and half on the weighing thing. I have to do it with butter because you have to weigh it here. It's just how it works. They don't really have the nice little delineations. And on the other side, I will say, in North America, just for any of you who don't realize in North America how we sell our butter there, it's already in pre-measured little packets, basically. So instead of, sometimes you can get them into one big thing, but then it'll be one big thing divided into 4 little sticks of butter. And that is very convenient, I must say. So this is, you know, probably because they measure everything, you have to kind of go back and do this, which I don't love. And of course we use measuring cups to measure flour and all of that kind of stuff, which, you know, can lead to things not being completely accurate, which I understand the argument for. But again, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. So I go half and half. I do a little bit of measure, I do a little bit of the North American way, and we move on from there. Okay, so it says to put all of the sugar and the butters all together and heat it up and melt it all. So far, super easy. Okay, the nice thing about this recipe is she has American, North American, Canadian, whatever, measurements as well as the grams. So I'm gonna test it out on here. and see if it's about right. Okay, so we need 2 2/3, she says, of flour, or a few hundred grams. So let's see how we do. Measuring 1, 2, oh, let's not spill, 2 2/3, she says. 2/3. Let's get our thirds. And a 1. And 2. Now, it should be 330 grams, but this is saying 355. So I think I'm gonna listen to hers and take out enough to get down to 330. And this is what the tedious part is adding a little, taking a little back. It seems dumb, but we're just not used to it. 28, 29. Oh, come on. Wow, there it is, 330. So it was close, but there was this much left of the second third.
All right, another day, another delivery. Here comes our electrical for all our solar panels and also the heat pumps and the upgraded panels. Very exciting. Okay, good news. Here's our electrical shipment. We're gonna go bring this in for Jeremy, and very thankful. The guys are good. They always call, and they call and they ask for just to make sure you're there. And I can never really speak very well in French, but we always manage. Okay, so I'm gonna haul this inside so it doesn't get wet. All right, we put some posts in the ground just to kind of get a sense of where it's gonna be. Now, turns out south is a little bit angled that way. So you want it facing straight south, which works really good with the angle of the dirt, by the way. That's good news. But we're gonna check with Leslie to see if she wants it here. Obviously, we'd like this not to be super visible. So I'm wondering if she's gonna want me to move it over to the left out of the view. Yeah, I mean, it's not terrible. You can see it a little bit to the left. My guess is she's gonna want us to hide it behind the hill a bit. Eventually, maybe we put some bushes or something here to obscure it, obscure it, so you can't see it from the chateau. Yeah, one of the great things about having all these spaces, basements and storage rooms, is you can keep stuff. Like there's my leftover plumbing stuff, and there's some electrical fixtures we pulled out, little pieces of wood, things like that, sometimes you just need a little something. This is such a dad thing, right? And we got a bunch of ready rod here from when we took out those big lights in the attic. And this is, I think, going to be perfect. We got the nuts, we got the washers. This will save us probably $20 or $30. We're gonna use those for sure. Don't judge me. This is one of those dad moments. I got all these IKEA leftover clamps. I'm thinking, you know, these would probably work. You know, if somehow we stick this on, like the solar panel, comes over the top, and then you just screw this in the back, and they're free. I got like probably 20 of them, maybe more. I don't know, save another 20, 30 bucks. It's one of those dad moments. Okay, well, we got our poles, our first poles in. I'm just trying to get it all level. That's what I'm doing with these so far. And I think so far so good. Well, we'll straighten them out a little bit, but pretty level. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Yep. Yeah, nice and level. Okay, just for the fun of it, I dragged one out. By the way, in case you're wondering, we're not anywhere close to done. I'm just trying to check out angles. This is 30 degrees. This is 30 degrees. As you can see, at this time, it's an hour or two from sunset here at the end of the year. So sun's about as low. It would need to be a lot steeper than this. But interestingly, this is 30 degrees, and it looks good. It's a big, huge solar panel. I have 6 of these, man. Man, oh man. Very excited.
Okay, I just got in from outside where I was working on the solar panel locations. Cold now. So the bread definitely proved. It's a little puffy. So we're gonna get that down, take a break on the cookies. and see what we have to do next for this. I think we have to roll it out into a rectangle, if I don't recall, and then cut it into its pieces, which is different than I grew up making buns, but it's okay. So, a little bit of flour down, and roll it out. It feels a little heavy. I think I could have used a little less flour. Okay, it says 8 by 12, and we're 10, so it's a little big. By 12, again, we're big. So we're gonna make this a little smaller in general, and I think we'll be ready to go. Okay, it said 4 strips and then 6. Gives us 24 little rolls, and we're gonna pop them into our cookie sheet over there, and it should fill it up nicely, and then we'll let it rise for another little minute or two. Okay, so in their video, you know, they do the whole make a claw and roll it on the counter. I don't know, I just didn't grow up that way. This is how Mom always shaped her buns, and just kind of fold it into the center, and then they just tuck in. This tray feels really big for these little buns, I have to say. So anyway, this is how I do it. And they look small. Okay, all the little buns are made. They're sitting on the oven for another 15-20 minutes to puff up again. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully that's good. Aren't these things great? Bench scrapers, or whatever we call them. They're great for cutting. They're great for a quick clean. They're fantastic if you don't have one. Okay, back to the cookies. So, we're gonna get our bowl and our flour, which is over here. We're gonna wipe our hands. Now, she said we need to add the melted butter and sugar. We're gonna pour that straight in here. See, it's all yummy goodness. All the nice butter and sugar. What's bad about that? Nothing ever. Brown sugar with butter. I might have to make cinnamon buns. Yum. I don't usually make that with students because it's hard to make enough for everybody. And they're kind of take a little time. So it's been forever since we've had that. Okay, she said to add 2 eggs. Gotta get eggs. Brought those up from upstairs. 1 egg. One thing I learned from the famous Jacques Pepin is that he knocks this on the countertop on a flat surface instead of the side of the bowl, which is nice because he says it doesn't put bacteria into what you're making. Okay, so she said stir in the eggs. All right. I don't know if I need a whisk. I'm gonna switch to my handy dandy wooden spoon. Anybody else love wooden spoons? I use them for almost everything. I like them a lot. They don't scratch anything. They're bigger, so it makes everything easier. All right, well, you guys get the drill on how to make chocolate chip cookies. It's not hard. So we just added the eggs, let me show you, into the sugar. It's pretty simple. And, you know, we'll add the flour and all the dry stuff, and then we have cookies. All right, put a teaspoon of baking soda. Now I cheat, and I bring North American baking powder to France. It's just not the same here, and I have yet to experiment a lot with that. So hopefully this works out great considering I'm using Canadian baking powder. But anyway, and salt. Where did my salt go? Here it is. And 2 salt. There's 1. And a little bit more. Okay. And then she uses chocolate chips, which I have to say, just got home from Costco, dropping the students off. So we have chocolate chips, yay. You can't just get them in the store here. They have little tiny chunks of chocolate stuff that just doesn't taste great. Or of course we just cut up chocolate, which is fantastic. But chocolate chips are nice for this kind of thing. I think she uses both. Oh, she uses nuts too. Well, we'll see if we use nuts. Okay, we're just gonna mix it all together, make them into little balls. I'm gonna put most of them in the freezer. I'll bake up one chunk and then see how they also bake up once they're frozen. Because it's nice if we did 3 batches of these. How many do we get out of them? And you know, how much we can use after that. I will be using my little scoop so that every cookie is the same. And we'll see how they all cook up. So it's all mixed up. I sometimes like to taste the dough of something when you've made it, because you can kind of tell what it should taste like. It felt a little loose. You can look at it. So I did add a little bit of extra of that flour that we didn't put in before. Let's see how it cooks up and see if it spreads too much and whether we need to add the extra little bit. Okay, cookies are all ready to go. In they go for 12 minutes, and then once they're done, sorry for the worn out looking silpat there, but anyway, they work hard around here. We're gonna put this on, and then by then, hopefully we can put in our buns.
Guys, it's nighttime and it is howling. So when it's howling like this, what you gotta do is you gotta walk around and figure out what's open. This window hasn't been closing really well, and so we got it latched hard now. So there's no air coming through there. Mr. Baby wants to go out, but no. And then of course this room, this is fun. This looks so good at all times of the day, but then I love it at night. I'm gonna try to go slow. I know people don't like movement on the camera. That is cool though, isn't it? Okay, so everything's closed here. See if we can walk into this room. We're gonna walk, we'll unfortunately have to walk around the entire chateau and see what's open. It should all be closed, but yeah, we're closed here. Yeah, no wind moving here. It's a stormy night at the Grifferaie. One of the lights blew down. I gotta get these lights on better mounts. Right now they've just been sitting here. I do think it's cool. The big lights on the chateau for the pennies a day it costs. All right, it's got the lights on. It's nighttime. Super windy, super warm today. Quite bizarre. I'm standing here, and the air outside is warm, and it's whistling through the basement because of course it's open on both ends, which is how it's designed to be. And so what's happening is the air coming inside, coming through feels like air conditioning, because you've got all this big stone structure that's been cold for several days, and then it warmed up to a lot today, like 16, 17 Celsius, which is like 60s Fahrenheit. And the house is sitting at 10 or maybe even colder. And so the air whips through and it's just coming at me like air conditioning. So it's great, we're warming the house up. Woot! Oh, this morning is starting earlier than I'd like. The internet guys say they're coming at 8 o'clock. Now, will they be here at 8 o'clock? I kind of don't think they will. It's raining and it's dark, but it is warm. Mr. Bingley's happy I'm up. So real talk, I woke up this morning to the smell of humidity, which anytime you hear or smell something different in the chateau, you gotta get on it. We've been running 2 dehumidifiers every night and pouring out full things of water in the morning. So that's good because it's the time of year when there's a lot of humidity. I don't know if we've ever had one of the guys from the trades show up exactly when they say. I don't mean to be a hater, but they do tend, okay, somebody's gonna have to go to the bathroom. They do tend to come a little bit later. So you're kind of like, well, I'll get up because you said you'd come at 8, so I'll wake up and get myself ready. but it sometimes feels futile. Okay, this is what I heard this morning. Yeah, look at that. Lots of water. You can hear it over here too. I was like, I hope that's not inside the house. And happily, it's outside the house.
Okie dokie. So I scooped out all the rest and froze them. Let's take a little peek-see down here. Ah, they're looking delightful, aren't they? Maybe this will be the kicker. I'm happy I added that extra little smidge of flour. It was kind of like half of that little bit of the third that we had. I think that was smart because they're not spreading at all. They look great. I probably should have cooked off a few without it first. But anyway, more time, next time. Anyhow, let's take a look at the buns, see if they're rising. Well, they're coming, none too big. We're gonna let that keep going, I think, a little bit longer. And I guess we have 5 more minutes. Okay, I gotta hand it to them. They look pretty great. I just took them out. Can't pick them up yet. We're gonna let them sit for a second. But you know, they look pretty good. Buns have risen to what they're gonna do, I think. So in they go. Hey, bing, bing. Let's see how they do. They do feel heavy to me, so we'll see if they're any good or not. Let's take a progress report and see how we're doing down here. Oh, they're coming. Starting to get just a hint of color. We have a funny little deformed guy, like right there. But other than him, not that I mind, we all can be full of lumps and bumps. That's how it goes. Hey, Bing Bing, are you hoping for some supper? Yeah, you getting hungry? Me too, I haven't had lunch yet. All right, just in time for pause gourmand. Sorry guys, I wish you were here. I'm trying out a new recipe. I need you guys here this time of year just to try stuff out because I never have time when you're here, of course, because I don't want to mess it up. But these might be good. Haven't tried them yet. The buns are out. I'm gonna brush them with butter. Nice French salted butter. Yum. And maybe even a little bit of, when we go to Slovenia, there's this salt that they actually, I don't know if the word is mine, I guess, I don't know. Harvest, I suppose is the better word. And it's fantastic. It's a large flaky salt. And I often put it on like cookies or, you know, salted caramel things, that kind of stuff. And I was starting to get a little low and I wanted to get some for Christmas presents. Or it's just nice to have for presents. And so a little bit of that on top, I think would be quite delightful in general. But until then, this should be just fine. Nothing wrong with the joy of butter. Now they say on these buns, when they did a little tester on it, I'm gonna need more butter, that you can add garlic to them or I don't know, any number of things, but if you go on their King Arthur website, you'll see the stuff that they say. Now, if this is a repeat, I will add a little less flour, I think, next time, but just almost at the bottom here. See if I can squeak out just enough for this poor little guy. And they're very hot. I just took them out, but it looks nice. So we're gonna let it cool and then I'm gonna have lunch. Now that I'm upstairs, I cracked one open. And despite there being probably too much flour, they're very soft, very tender. I think these are gonna be a keeper. Time for some melted butter. Nothing better than
some jam and homemade buns. Yum, yum, yum.
Oh, mama.
Yeah.
Yum.
Well, we said we'd do some Christmas carols, folks. So let's go take a look at the piano and see how it's done. Now, it's been cold in the chateau, so it's quite possible that some notes have slipped out of tune. And let's give them a try. That's not bad. Maybe a little bit on that one. Not so bad. Okay, we got some more problems down here though. Okay, that sounds sharp. Okay, that one's definitely a problem. That one's the worst. That one's not good. That one maybe. All right, well here's the good news. With the grand piano, it's real easy. You just pop this top little guy off and we'll tune them up quick. All right, this is what the computer says the worst ones are. You can hear that one, right? That one sounds a little bit out. Okay, let's see if we can fix it. That guy in there. Now we're just hearing one string. So the tuner says that's good. Now we're gonna try the other one. And we'll go like this. Let's have a listen. That's not terrible. Yeah, that's probably good. Got it.
Thanks so much for coming and hanging out with me in the Chateau kitchen and experimenting and testing out some new things. And maybe I will continue doing some of this as we go along through the Advent and do some Christmas stuff too.